Roxy from the Center for Budget and Policy Priorities is now going to speak. Thank you.
I will share a little bit of background information about the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. For those who are not familiar, the Center is a nonprofit organization, and we primarily conduct research and analysis on different issues that impact low and moderate wage earners in America. Since 1989, we've spearheaded a national outreach campaign to promote the Earned Income Tax Credit. And this campaign has expanded over the years. It now also promotes the Child Tax Credit, and as Janet mentioned, these tax credits go hand in hand, as well as free tax filing assistance. There are two main core elements of the campaign. One is that we produce a comprehensive tax credit outreach kit. This kit is updated annually, and it includes detailed information and facts about the tax credits. If you're new to this work, then it's definitely a great resource for you. It also includes ideas for promoting the tax credits. Janet started to share some of the things that can be done. We have specific strategies for reaching out to rural communities, for reaching out to schools, and reaching out to businesses and employers. We also feature the work of organizations across the country, and each year, many times, we have organizations that are in rural communities that are doing outreach locally, and we're able to share what strategies are working for them. The kit also includes outreach materials that are ready to use. So Janet was mentioning disseminating information as one outreach strategy. And so we have envelope stuffers and flyers and lots of other materials that are part of the kit and also part of an online resource bank as well. So later on in the presentation, I'll share with you the link where you can find some outreach materials as well as how you can sign up to receive the outreach kit if you aren't currently on our mailing list. The 2013 kit will be available at the end of this month. The other aspect of our outreach campaign is that we conduct training and technical assistance and work with local organizations as well as outreach campaigns to maximize their reach and refine their outreach strategy. The campaign includes partners that are nonprofits, social service agencies, businesses and employers, utility companies, schools, public agencies, local officials, and they're located all across the country, including in rural communities. So now that you know a little bit about our campaign, I want to share some information about the impact of the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. And this is to talk a little bit about the impact of the Earned Income Credit and Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. So first we can take a look at the impact of these tax credits on poverty. The most recently available data reflects that in 2010, the EITC and CTC listed an estimated 9.2 million people out of poverty, and this includes 4.9 million children. So this is just one example of the national impact that these tax credits have. The overall poverty rate was reduced by 20%, and the poverty rate among children would have been 1/3 higher without the Earned Income Tax Credit. During the 2012 tax season, we saw a decrease in refund anticipation loans. Refund anticipation loans, also known as RALs, are a very high interest loan that allows people to get their refund in what seems like the same day or only a couple of days. Commercial tax preparers who offer RALs charge very high fees on top of the interest rate for the loans. And once their tax return is actually completed and filed, if the estimated refund amount is different from the actual refund amount that the IRS has processed, then the client is stuck paying the difference. So they've been very dangerous in that they've drained lots of people of money, especially when there are alternatives to have their tax returns filed. There's been some regulation of RALs, and so this year we did see a decrease in the number of RALs, and so EITC filers were able to save substantial amounts in fees. While the RALs decreased, it doesn't mean that everyone started flocking to the free tax preparation sites. We also saw an increase in refund anticipation checks, which are also known as RACs, and it was proportionate to the amount that the RALs dropped. So that's one of the impacts of the tax credits in this recent filing season. Now, while there are, we'll talk a little bit more about the free tax filing assistance and being able to provide alternatives to RACs and helping more people be able to save more money and really claim their entire refund that they've earned. So we'll explore the credit amounts and income guidelines for the Earned Income Tax Credit and Child Tax Credit, current credit expansions and what they mean, efforts to assist self-employed taxpayers, resources and outreach strategies for rural practitioners, strengthening EIC outreach programs, and support that you can get from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Here we can see the income guidelines and the maximum earned income tax credit for the 2012 tax filing season, 2012 tax year. So you can see that the first column shows the number of children, the second column shows the maximum income amount, and the third column shows the maximum earned income tax credit amount. The middle column reflects earnings for single workers. If workers are married, you would add $5,210 to each of those numbers in the middle column. This chart also shows the guidelines for the child tax credit as well, and the child tax credit is worth up to $1,000 per child for workers who earn a minimum of $3,000. So you can see there's a difference in how these tax credits are structured, even though they're complementary. With the child tax credit, to receive the refund, you must have a minimum amount of earnings, which is $3,000. For the earned income tax credit, there's no minimum amount of earnings. There's only the maximum amount.
So Roxy, this is Janet. I just want to clarify. So the first column is single parents with that number of children. And if it's really a married couple, the income amount, that would be the upper limit. You would just add $5,000 for any of them that have children.
$5,210, yes.
$5,210. So the top one would be $50,270 instead of $45,060, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got it. Okay,
sure.
Thanks.
Sure, thank you. So two other things to note about the guidelines here. For the workers without children, no children for the earned income tax credit, there is an age guideline as well for the actual worker who's claiming the credits. You must be between the ages of 25 and 64 to claim the earned income tax credit for workers without children. If you have children, then it doesn't matter how old you are. And also, you cannot have investment income that exceeds $3,200, even if your income is below these amounts. When we refer to investment income, we're not talking about a regular savings account, for example. We're talking about the interest from stocks and bonds and capital gains distributions, for example. So that's one other thing to note about these guidelines for 2012. So as the previous chart noted, there is a maximum earned income tax credit for workers with 3 or more children. That is a new level, one of the expansions that was part of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. And that expansion, along with others, are effective through the end of this year. These expansions have helped lift 1.6 million people, including almost 1 million children, out of poverty in 2010. These expansions also lessen the severity of poverty for nearly 13 million others. So the impact has been tremendous. And now that the expansions are facing expiration, there's a need for Congress to determine what to do next. If these expansions expire, the Tax Policy Center estimates that 11 million families will lose an average of $854 with a reduced child tax credit. And 7 million families will lose an average of $532 with a lower earned income tax credit refund. So the center, along with other organizations, are involved in efforts to urge Congress to protect these credits as part of discussions to balance the budget and to reduce the deficit.
Roxy?
Yes.
If someone wants to be helpful with that, do they just contact the center? Is there a place to go on your website if someone wants to be helpful in urging Congress in that way?
Actually, a good place to go would be the National Tax Coalition.
National Community Tax Coalition?
National Community Tax Coalition. They are involved in a couple of efforts to have people help contribute to advocacy efforts. And their website is www.tax-coalition.org.
And does this expiration is totally separate from sequestration, correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. So would sequestration have any effect on the EITC or the CTC in coming years, or we don't know?
Yes, it could. And so we don't know for sure the details of, or rather, I should say, I am unable to share the details of it at this time, but yes, that is a threat as well. So everything that will be taking place in discussions in the next couple of weeks are going to be really critical. So certainly if participants want to be able to help share and voice why these credits are so critical and important for families, that would be very helpful. Another organization that is involved in some advocacy efforts is Results, and I believe that they are having a event or call, virtual event this Saturday, so that's some information that I can share with you and you can share with your network.
We'll be happy to do that. So, okay, thanks. Carry on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this slide just illustrates again the impact of the expansions to the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, along with a couple of other expansions under ARA. There were improvements to unemployment insurance, to SNAP, which is formerly the food stamp program, and then we had the Making Work Pay credit, which is no longer offered, but if somebody was eligible for it in the past but didn't claim it, they can still claim it when they file their tax return.